I wanted to take an opportunity just to sit down with you, learn a little bit more about this new course offering that we're rolling out this fall in conjunction with Southeast Sports Seminars, and just chat a little bit about fitness in regards to healthcare and into what we currently see in the landscape, especially for musculoskeletal practitioners. So if you don't mind, if you could just give us a short little intro about who you are and a bit of your background into that kind of led you to develop this curriculum.
Sure. Well, as you said, my name is Tom Teeter. I'm a chiropractor in Kansas City, Missouri. And a large part of my practice has been just working with athletes or athletic populations. My bachelor's degree is in exercise science, so I kind of came up in the fitness world. And before I went to chiropractic school, I was obviously working as a strength coach and a personal trainer. And as I've been in my career, I've worked with a lot of people that have been transitioning out of rehab into some type of performance enhancement or fitness program. And in doing that, I kind of started to come up with some concepts that I thought were important for clinicians or even strength coaches to know. And the last 5 years of my career has been at a local university where I am the fitness and wellness director of our exercise science degree program. And basically I developed a curriculum to teach the undergraduate students all of the things that they would want to know to be good strength coaches and be part of the healthcare team.
Wonderful. So when it comes to what you currently see in the landscape within healthcare, are there things that you feel like are maybe misconceptions or things that are misunderstood by healthcare practitioners when it comes to fitness? Because it seems like nowadays you have more and more chiropractors, physical therapists kind of jumping into the world of strength and conditioning as well, that are implementing gyms and rehab centers in their practices. What do you feel like is kind of a missing link out there right now?
That's a loaded question. I think everything's a misconception. I think from my experience working with even medical doctors, we'll start with medical doctors. The most medical doctors know about exercise is the physiology they got of the human body in their medical education, which is a great foundation. But that doesn't necessarily mean that always translates over into the physiology of exercise. So whereas a large portion of medical doctors are even recommending exercise to their patients, they don't understand anything about fitness or exercise. And it's even more fitting that we see that in our own profession of even chiropractic, physical therapy, athletic training, where you start to see this big push for physical therapists and chiropractors to get involved in fitness, because really fitness is the best medicine, and it's the largest key to our longevity. It has the most impact on our health. But now as we're seeing that being pushed in society, clinicians in chiropractic and physical therapy are trying to get involved in fitness, and yet they really have no formal education, or the things that they're propelling have been myths that have been given by the fitness industry. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times we find those things to be either egregious or just entirely inaccurate. Wow. One of the reasons why I started kind of doing what I was doing is in my settings, I've always had my clinical office in a gym. It's kind of where my heart is. I love exercise. I love helping people get bigger, faster, stronger, more fit, more healthy. And I started seeing that personal trainers even didn't understand exercise. So what has encompassed the course that I started to develop was really 20 years of just some of my observations of the industry and my interpretations of the people that I respect and the people that I think are doing it right. And I tried to take what they're doing and really apply it in a very simple system that's easy to utilize and learn.
Mm-hmm. So when it comes to fitness and exercise, you have that end of the spectrum, and then you also, of course, have rehab and rehabilitative therapeutic exercise. What is the difference between the two, and how does this new course kind of bridge that gap?
Another very loaded question. There's a saying in sports medicine where we're really trying to bridge the gap between rehab and fitness. I have said, as well as some of the other leaders in the industry, that if there's a gap between your rehab and fitness, you're doing it wrong, right? So there is a difference from a theoretical perspective. if someone is going through rehab, they're either in pain or they have serious dysfunction. And what, as a clinician, we're trying to do is restore them back to normal function. So they're in a hole and we're trying to get them back to normal. In fitness, we're assuming that most of those people are normal and we're trying to improve the function that they have. So there's a theoretical difference between rehab and restoring function and fitness and improving function. But in an ideal setting, if you have a gap between those two things, you're absolutely doing it wrong. And what I try to discuss in the course is the difference between those two and how to really bring rehab and fitness together in a way that there is no difference. In the environment that I work in, and at least with all of my clients, we may have certain things that we are trying to restore function on, or certain tissues or joints, and there may be other joints that they function just fine that we're going to load to try to improve any of the physiological capabilities they need for their specific task or goal. So I think there is a difference, but we have to differentiate between the two to understand even where to start.
Absolutely. So in terms of this new course offering, tell me a little bit about how it's structured. I know there's an online component, there's a live learning weekend. Tell me a little bit about those and what the participants will walk away having a better understanding of.
Sure. The hard part was when I decided that I wanted to maybe try to take this on. I think there are some really good fitness courses out there. I think the challenge for most people is, I would say 80% of people who think they know fitness don't. And even trainers or clinicians who are athletic and fitness minded really don't understand all the things that they have to do. So when I started developing the course, I really started taking the things that I was doing at the university level. And the benefit I have at the university is I have 4 years we have 53 credit hours of courses where I'm able to educate you from start to finish how to be a really good trainer. It is impossible to take 53 hours and narrow it down to 20. Mm-hmm. So I really tried to give people the biggest bang for their buck. I literally, if I was allowed, could turn this into probably 12 different courses. But what I wanted to come up with was a very easy and usable system. So when someone came in the door, we're giving them the basic understanding of what is fitness. We can teach them about the physiology of stress and how that relates to injury management. We can teach them about some very practical principles for how to manage movement and all of the things related to fitness, and then get into fitness 101 programming. Here's how you program. Here's the biomechanics of the exercises that we're going to go over. Here's some of the very specific ways we might warm someone up. We might load specific patterns and develop specific qualities relative to improving activities that may be relevant to their terminal task. So we wanted to come up with something that they can walk away from. And what my students at the university have at least been able to do is when they finish the crux of this coursework, they're able to have a template that they can use for exercise programming and come up with very specific exercises for that template, and then come up with regressions and progressions for every single person to determine where they are on the spectrum of loading. So people who will attend the course will get all of that in an abbreviated fashion. And then I think the hope is that we can provide an ongoing system of support where if they do have specific questions about a relative topic, we can either come up with another course relative to that specific information, or we have an online community where they're able to go and find answers with their peers or even with myself. So I'm really excited about the course because I think it's going to actually dispel some of the myths that we tend to see in clinicians who are starting to veer into fitness, or even fitness trainers who really want to kind of take their training and their knowledge of the body to a larger level and apply it to a broader speculation of populations.
Awesome. Well, and I think that's so important. And we've talked about this a great deal. When it comes to developing content, you always think of your ideal audience. You think of who you're going to be speaking to, how you're going to be helping them with this information. From your perspective, what do you feel like are just some really valuable takeaways? And this goes back to that template you were just speaking about for students and new docs that are still trying to figure out how they're going to practice. Even, first or second year physical therapists, athletic trainers who are still trying to get their footing on how they treat their patients. What do you feel like will be most beneficial for them in having this framework and this ongoing support network?
I think it's invaluable. I want to also preface with the suggestion that there's no one way to do fitness. There's a lot of bad ways to do fitness. And as you know, because we've had conversations, one of my other occupations is a paid legal expert for cases against fitness trainers who are doing things that are inappropriate. And one of the ways I tried to look at this was, if I was a clinician or a trainer who was actually working with people, what are the bad things that I've seen in my experience from a legal perspective? And how can we teach people how to eliminate the possibility of those happening? And so the coursework that we've designed is really about teaching what I would just say fitness 101. I think a lot of people really, because they either exercise themselves, because they feel like they read Muscle and Fitness or some other trade industry magazine, or they are people who've participated in athletics, I think they really feel like they have a really good grasp of fitness. And some of them may, but I think there's always things that we can clean up that'll allow us to transition people from that concept of dysfunction and get them into improving qualities that are relevant to the activity that they want to do. So I think it's a great course. I'm really excited to be able to teach it. I think it's something also that, as I tried to pare down 53 credit hours over 4 years into literally 20 hours of information, that will constantly be evolving. And I hope that the final product is something that people can take away and literally go back to their clinic on day one and start to apply this with their patients. I know the students that we've had that have gone out into occupational settings have been far and away better prepared for actual programming and execution of exercise because of the way we've taught the system here at the university.
Absolutely. And so one of the things that we often hear from participants when they come to courses like this is, you know, does this mean that in order to implement these strategies in my practice, I have to have a gym with lots of big equipment and lots of free weights? Are there going to be elements of the program that can be done with body weight exercise, with resistance type, kind of low-tech rehab? How do you foresee them being able to implement this on different levels?
That's a good question. I always tell my students that I think equipment isn't necessary. It just makes things easier. And I can give maybe an example. When I first started with I teach an adult fitness class twice a week. Same group of 6 people I've trained for 10 years. But when we started, we had a room that was probably 150 square feet, and I had literally about $200 worth of equipment. And I trained them in that space for upwards of 3 years. And all of them were getting fitter, they were getting stronger, and they were moving better. So it's not about the equipment. Equipment just makes it a hell of a lot easier to accomplish some of the goals. But most of the stuff that we'll discuss can be done with low-tech rehab equipment in a very small amount of space. I think what we have to consider is just what do you have available to you to get your clients or your patients moving in a way that's efficient to physiologically make them better at doing what they need to do. So equipment shouldn't be a barrier, but it actually just makes things a little bit easier.
Wonderful. Well, we are very excited about it. Obviously, our first course coming up here, October 6th and 7th in Kansas City, right in your backyard in your hometown there. And then we are excited to be expanding into other cities coming up in 2019, and we're working on that course schedule now. So for those of you that are watching, if you're interested in bringing a rehab to fitness course to your facility or even to the city that you're in, maybe you can't host at your facility, but you would love to have us nearby so that you could attend in your hometown, please let us know. You can either send us a private message directly on the Rehab to Fitness Facebook page, or you can also email us at events@sports-seminars.com. Thank you so much, Dr. Teeter. We really appreciate you taking some time today to kind of dive in a bit to this new curriculum. We're very excited to have you and look forward to hearing more.
I look forward to teaching. And if anybody, feel free to reach out to me personally. I'm an open book. I will answer every email, even if it's what you would perceive as a silly question. I think really the benefit is just creating a conversation so that we can all work together to really having a good understanding of how we can help our patients and clients. So feel free to reach out to me personally. Feel free to answer on the Facebook page. I will respond to every message.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day.